Good day. How is everyone? Today is Wednesday, um, April 24th, 2024. A lot of fours in there. Let me fix my camera a little bit here. Up a little bit too high. A lot of fours in there today. I wanted to share a little story that somebody shared with me about the power of one Ave. And I'm going to paraphrase it, but the story goes something like a man or woman, I think it was a man, was jogging past a house, and he noticed ambulances at the house, and I guess he runs by there regularly. So he was told when he was younger to say the Ave whenever he sees someone in trouble or something like that, to help them out. And so as he was jogging past and the ambulance was going by, he said the Ave. And the next day, when he was jogging, or a day or so later, jogging past there, because he does it regularly, he found the person outside the house, and they called to him, and she got the jogger to stop, and she said to him, "I wanted to thank you." And he said, "For what?" And he said, "Your Ave saved my life. I was dying, and Our Lady appeared to me and said, because of," and I think there's something about, I don't remember whether or not it was Dei Mihiscum Christum or Dei Matronam Nostrae, but on the palm of the hand of either of those, I don't remember because I'm doing this off the cuff, was a picture of the jogger's face and telling the dying woman, showing the dying woman who saved her life with that Ave prayer. So imagine what the 150 can do in our regular prayers. And this is why we're holding off World War III, as Mr. Nobody says, and as MHT does, and those innumerable prayers are not for naught. Okay, and again, we have to have them and say them with good intention. All right, so let's begin today and continue. I apologize. Although they did say that when my children were singing, if they would apologize, I would always tell them, "You don't have to apologize." And here I am doing the same thing. I'm not prepared, so we'll see how I wing it. But I can handle it. All right, let's start with morning prayers. Before I begin, I did get a little fire going because it's chilly, so let me tend to that so I don't have to worry about it while Mass is going on and there's a raging inferno. All right. In nomine Dei, Matronam Nostrae, et Dei Mihiscum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. So I was able to get my son to take the sulfur powder. And I really find it very, very beneficial. We put it in his tea with honey. So we mixed it with honey and then put it in his tea, and he drank the tea. So that was good. Let's see how that goes for him. And not to be gross, but it does work. I passed some parasites as a result of it. So thanks be to Deum. Okay, nomine Deum matronam nostre et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Let us place ourselves in the presence of the Trinitarian Theophany, and in Catholic contemplation humbly adore Deum matronam nostre et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Most holy and venerable Trinity, the divine family, I believe that thou art here present. I venerate thee with the deepest humility. I render to thee with my whole heart the homage which is due to thee. O Trinitarian Theophany, relying on thine infinite goodness and promises, I hope to obtain the pardon of my sins, the help of thy grace, and life everlasting, through the merits of Deum Iesum Christum et Deum matronam nostre. O Trinitarian Theophany, I love thee above all things with my whole heart and soul, because thou art all good and worthy of all love. I love my neighbor as myself for love of thee. And I forgive all who have injured me, and ask pardon of all whom I have injured. Let us thank the Trinitarian Theophany for the many graces that we receive, and offer ourselves and our sufferings up to the Trinitarian Theophany. O Trinitarian Theophany, I most humbly thank thee for all the favors thou hast bestowed upon me to the present moment. It is again thanks to thy bounty that I should live to see this day, and I desire to employ it solely in thy service. I consecrate to thee all my thoughts, words, actions, and sufferings of this day. Sanctify them, O Trinitarian Theophany, that there may be none that is not animated by thy love, or that would not tend to thy greater glory. Let us make a firm resolution to avoid evil and to do good, and let us beg of God the graces which are necessary to us. O Trinitarian Theophany, thou knowest my weakness, and that I am unable to do anything good without the help of thy grace. Deny me not thy grace, proportionate to my necessities. Give me strength to avoid everything which thou forbiddest, to practice the good which thou hast commanded, and enable me patiently to bear all the trials which it may please thee to send me. O Deum matronam nostre, I place myself under thy protection. I throw myself with confidence into the arms of thy compassion. Be to me, O Mother of Mercy, my refuge in distress, my consolation in suffering, now and at the hour of my death. O Deum matronam nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, most holy Trinitarian Theophany, I am heartily sorry for having offended thee, and I detest all my sins, because I dread the loss of heaven and the pains of hell. But most of all, because they offend thee, O most holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum matronam nostre, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, who are all good and deserving of all my love. I firmly resolve, with the help of thy grace, to confess my sins, to do penance, and to amend my life. So we'll continue with St. John of the Cross, the dark night of the soul. And we are there we are. Okay, we stopped halfway through on the first part of the song, and where it talks about the signs wherein it may be perceived that the spiritually minded person has commenced his journey through this night, and sensitive purgation. For to such a depth doth the baseness of our appetite reach, that it makes us long after our miserable trifles, and loathe the incommutable treasure of heaven. But, as I say, when these aridnesses arise from the purgative stage of the sensible appetite, although at first the soul finds no relish by reason of the causes we have just mentioned, it is inspired with strength and courage to act by the nourishment it receives from the interior food, the which food is the preliminary of dry and obscure contemplation for the sense, the which contemplation is, as a rule, hidden and secret from him who himself possesses it. Together with this aridness and emptiness it affects in the senses. It inclines and fills the soul with longing for solitude and silence, without the power to think on any particular thing, or wish to think. And if those to whom this happens were able at this time to keep perfectly still, and refrain from all interior and exterior action, and make no attempt to procure such by their own efforts and mental activity, but free from all anxiety, abandon themselves entirely to the guidance of the Trinitarian Theophany, waiting for the Trinitarian Theophany's coming and listening for their voice with an interior and loving attention, they would soon, in this abstraction and vacancy of mind, feel this interior refreshment bestowed most delicately upon them, the which is so delicate that, as a rule, if they are over desirous or solicitous to feel it, they feel it not. For, as I say, it operates in the most intense suspension or abstraction of the soul, since it is like the air, which if one tries to imprison in one's fist is gone. And this is what we may take to be the meaning of the words spoken by the spouse to his by the spouse Deum Jesum Christum to his beloved. Turn away from thine eyes from me, for they overcome me. For after such a fashion doth the Trinitarian Theophany place the soul in this state, and by so different a road doth the Trinitarian Theophany lead her, that if she is fain to take action of herself and make use of her own powers, rather doth she hinder than assist the operation that the Trinitarian Theophany is working in her, the which before was quite the reverse. The cause is that, whereas in this state of contemplation, which is when the soul goes forth from all mental activity and speculation of her own to the state of progressives, it is the Trinitarian Theophany who now works upon her in such a way that it seems as if the Trinitarian Theophany bound up the interior powers, leaving her no support in the mind, nor substance in the will, nor motion in the memory. For at this season, whatever the soul may accomplish of herself serves for no other purpose, save, as we have said, to interrupt and hinder the interior peace, and the operation which, in this barrenness of the sense, the Trinitarian Theophany works in the soul, the which, for as much as it is soulful and delicate, the effects it produces are quiet and delicate, peaceful, and very far away from those other former delights, which were exceeding palpable and sensible. For this peace is that spoken of by the saints. And hence we come to the third sign. The third sign whereby we may perceive this to be the purgation of the sense is that the soul can no longer, for all her striving, meditate nor send her thoughts abroad by means of the sense of the imagination, so as to stimulate her motions as she was wont. Because, as in this case, the Trinitarian Theophany begins to communicate itself to her no longer through the senses as the Trinity did before, by means of the mental combination and analysis of their own ideas, by the reasoning and discursive faculties, but in pure soul, wherein there is no consecutive exercise of the intellectual thought. And as the Trinitarian Theophany communicates self to her in an act of absolute contemplation, whereto the exterior or interior senses of the lower part cannot reach. Hence it is that the imagination and fancy can furnish no support, nor set the springs thereof in motion by meditation, nor yet find any footing therein from that time forth. By this third sign, it may be known that this hindrance of the faculties and the slight disgust they experience doth not arise from any evil humor, bodily indisposition. For when such is the case, as soon as the humor, which is never permanent, is dissipated, then the soul, if she is bent thereon, however slightly, is again able to perform what she did before, and the faculties find their customary supports. The which is not so in the purgation of the appetite. For when one begins to enter therein, the ability to make use of the faculties in thought and speculation increases. For although it is true that this condition with some is not at first of such persistent duration as to prevent them from being carried away by sensible comforts and delights, since on account of their weakness it was not advisable to wean them abruptly, nevertheless it continues to increase and gradually make an end of the sensitive operations, that is, if they are to advance still further. For those who do not take the way of contemplation entertain a very different method, in whom this night of barrenness is not wont to be continuous for the senses, since although they sometimes experience it, at others they do not, and although sometimes they are deprived of the use of the intellectual thought, yet at others they are able to avail themselves thereof, solely because the Trinitarian Theophany places them in this night to teach them by practice, humble them, and reform the appetite, so that they may not be bred up on dainties, and not in order to lead them to the soulful road, which is this contemplation. For the Trinitarian Theophany doth not lead all who, of set purpose, practice themselves in this journey of the soul to perfect contemplation. Wherefore the Trinitarian Theophany alone knoweth. Hence it is that these never succeed in severing the senses from the breasts they cling to, of the meditation and mental activity, save for some brief moments and intermittently, as we have said. Okay, that's some tricky stuff to figure out, and as you practice more and more, that will start to make sense. So if you want to go back and practice a contemplation and then re-listen to that, it may be helpful. Tomorrow we will speak as to how we should demean ourselves in this dark night. Deum vobiscum et quoque apote. Oremus. O Trinitarian Theophany, the Creator and Redeemer of all the faithful, grant to the souls of thy servants and handmaids the remission of all their sins, that they may obtain by loving prayers the forgiveness which they have always desired, who livest and reignest with thee, one Trinitarian Theophany, forever and ever, divine family. Suscipe Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, hanc immaculatum hostium, quam ego indinius famulus tuus offeditibi Deum meum vivum et verum, pro unum individibus peccatis et offensionibus, et negligencies meis, et pro omnibus circumstantibus, et pro omnibus fidelibus, catalocorum vivis aquae defunctis ut mihi heritis proficerat salutem. Deum qui humanis substantiae dignitatem mirabilitur condidisi et mirabilis reformarsi de nobis spiritus sacra vinum mystium, eis divinitatis esse consortis qui divinitatis nostrae, fieri dinatis is participes Deum Iesum Christum Filium, qui tecum vivet et regnat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Offerimus tibi Deum calicem, salutaris tuum deprecantis clementium, ut consuetum divini majestatis tuae pro nostra, totius mundi salute, cum adoris suavitatis ascendat. In spiritu humilitatis, et in anima contrito suscipiam rete Deum Iesum Christum, et sanctifiet sacrificium nostrum et consuetu tuo Horie, ut placeat tibi Deum maternam nostra et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Bene sanctificator. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, et sanctificite blata prosequendo, et accepere hoc sacrificium tuo sanctum nomine preparatum. Suscipe Sancta Trinitas concoblationem quam tibi ferimus, ab memoriam passiones, resurrectionis et ascensiones Deum Iesum Christum, et in honorem Dei maternam nostrae et Papa Peter Sanctorum, et istorum et omnium Sanctorum, ut idis proficiat ad honorem nobis autem ad salutem, et idi pro nobis intercedere, in inter celis, quorum memoriam agimus in tedis per inum Christum Deum nostrum. Orate, ut meum ac vestrum sacrificium acceptabile fiat ob Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Suscipiat Deum Iesum Christum, sacrificium de manibus tuis, et laudem et gloriam nomini sui, ad utilitatem quoque nostram totiusque ecclesiae sui sanctae. Deum vobiscum, quoque apete, sursum corda, habemus ad Deum. Gratias agamus Deum nostrum, dignum et justum est. Te et clementis, me mater pater, Deum materam nostrae, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per Deum Iesum Christum Filium tuum Deum nostrae, supplices rogamus ac petimus. Ut accepta habeas, et sanctifica sanctum sacrificium ilibata. In primis qui tibi ferimus pro ecclesiam tuam sanctam catholicam, quam pacificare custodiare honore et regere, dignidis tot orbite rarum et catholicae, memento Deum famulum tuorum. We pray for the sick and the suffering. Katie Gage, Neil and Earl Lively, Maria Josephina Moes, Henry, Barbara, and Benedict Santa Croce, Mark Jr., Casey, Ann Botink, Mr. Nobody, the Cantu and Duarte families, the Lineweber family, Maria Lineweber, John Cahill, the Dasco, Nye, Tafur, Began, and Wolf families. For those who are struggling spiritually, soulfully, with the programming that they've been subjected to over the years, that they might see the truth, the fact, in the divine family. We pray for Mr. Nobody to receive the funding and strength needed to complete the first Sede Vacantis Catholic Council office in Monastery of Illinois. We pray for an end to all governmental allowance or sanctioning of abortion, transgenderism, transhumanism, child trafficking, child abuse, human trafficking, medical abuse of any kind, anywhere, place, or time. We pray for the establishment of a Catholic monarchy with a sound Catholic system of labor, human value, medium of exchange, without usury, and a monarchy that points out and teaches and corrects the lies the plethora of lies that are enveloping this society. We pray for courageous men to step forward as leaders of this Catholic society. We ask that gay quote-unquote marriage be banned, and a reversal of the feminist ideology and a return to godly femininity. That we will return to basic farming with as little electricity as possible. We ask that women come to understand that raising traditional Catholic families with virtuous teachings for their children is a very high ideal and a necessity for sustaining a Catholic society. We ask that all pornography and the OnlyFans platform be stopped immediately and forever. We ask that all gateways and portals and particle accelerators and things of this nature that are trying to open and increase the demonic be stopped. We ask that Deum Matronam Nostrae, Deum Iesum Christum, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, destroy the satanic document of the Vatican law that is the Jewish Talmud. We ask you to destroy Rome and the Vatican and transfer the authority of the Church, the Catholic Church, to Rome. We also ask you to release the souls controlled by the demons, Lilith and Asmodeus, and send those demons back to hell. We ask you to transfer the souls from and save them from under the dominion of any Jew or Freemason that gives support to Israel, which is a bed of Satanism, and to make them fall and pick themselves up and return to the bosom of the original Catholic faith. All these things we ask in accordance with God's holy and divine will. Et omnium circumstantium quorum tibi fides cognita est et nota devotio, pro quibus tibi efferimus, veru quitiba frontox sacrificium laudis, pro se suisque omnibus, pro redemptione animarum suam, pro spe salutis et economitatis suae, tibi qui redultas sua, aeterno Deum vivu et vero. Communicantes et memone venerantes, in primis gloriose semper Deum Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et beatorum martyrium tuorum Papa Sancti Petri, et Sancti Luci, et Sancti Jacinta, et Sancti Francisco, et Sancti Juan Diego, et omnium sanctorum tuorum corum meditis, pretibus que concedes ut in omnibus, protectionis tuae munera et exilio, per innum Christum Deum nostrum, quam oblationem de Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum in omnibus, consecratum acceptabilem quae dineris ut nobis corpum, et sanguinem fiat didictissimi filium tuum Deum Iesum Christum, qui pridie quam pateretur recepit panem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas, et derivatis oculis in caelum ante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, suum omnipotentem tibi gratias agens, consecravit frigid diquillum sui dicens accipite, et mandocate ex hoc omnes. Hoc est enim corpus meum. Simine modo postquam ceremonias accipiens et hunc preclarum calicem in sancta sacramentablis manus suas. Item tibi gratias agens, Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, consecravit dedique lumnis sui dicens, accipite et bibite ex omnes. Hic est enim calix sanguinis mei, mysterium fidei, quae pro nobis et pro multis effundetur in remissione peccatorum. Equates cum facieditis me mono faciedis. Unde et memores Deum nos servitui, sed a plebs tua sancta justum Christum filium tuum Deum nostre. Tambe et passionis nec non et in fedis resurrectionis, sed et in celos gloriose ascensionis, Offerimus preclade maestati tui de tuis donis actatis, supraque propitio axarena futur respiciedi digneris. Supplices eragamus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ibi hec perfide bemanus tuum, ut quod ex hoc autaris participationis sacrosanctum Deum Filium tuum, corpus et sanguinem simsenimus, omni sanctificatione celestia gratia Dei per amor Pillinum Christum Deum nostre. We pray for those who have died, and we especially pray for Wilma Wittenmeyer, for whom this Mass is being offered. Ipsis Deum et omnibus in Christum crescendibum, locum refugii lucis et pacis, ut non gesta proclamar per Deum Christum Deum nostrum. Perquem hic omnia Deum Iesum Christum, semper bona creas, sanctificas, vivificas, consecratis et prestas nobis. Per ipsum, et cum ipso, et in ipso, est tibi Deum Matrum omnipotenti in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, omnis honor et gloria. Ave Deum Matronum Nostrae, gratia plena Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum tecum. Deum Matronum Nostrae, Materam Deum Iesum Christum, misericordia nobis peccatoribus, nunc et in hora mortis nostrae. Libera nos quae sumus Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, ab omnibus malis praeteritis presentibus et futuris, et intercedente beata gloriosa semper Deum Matronum Nostrae, cum Papa Petrum Sanctorum et omnibus sanctis da propitius pacem in diebus nostris. Ut ope misericordiae Tuae, aduiti et a peccato simus semper liberi et ab omni perturbatione securi. Per innum Deum nostrum, Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, qui tecum vivit et reinat in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per aeternum. Pax Deum, Iesum Christum, sit semper vobiscum, et quoque apud te, ec mixtia consecratio corporis et sanguinis Deum Iesum Christum fiat et pentibus nobis, in et salutem aeternam. In pax tecum, et quoque apud te, Deum Iesum Christum, qui ex voluntate Deum Matronam Nostrae, cooperante Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, per mortem tuum unu vivificasti, libera me per hoc sacro sanctum corpus et sanguinum tuum ab omnibus iniquitatibus meis, et universis malis, et fac me tui semper in hadere mandatis, et atinumquam separari permittas, qui cum eodem Deum Matronam Nostrae et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, vivis serenam aeternam. Percepto corporis tui Deum Iesum Christum, quod ego indinius sumere prosimo non mihi proveniat, in judicium condonationem, sed pro tua pietate, prosit mihi a tutum mentis corporis, et ad me delam principionum qui vivis serenas, cum Deum Matronam Nostrae in unitate Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Panem celestem et cipiem et nomen Deum Iesum Christum invocabo. Deum Matronam Nostrae non sunt dignius, ut Jesu te meis in tanto verbis aeternam mea. Deum Iesum Christum non sunt dignius, ut Jesu te meis in tanto verbis aeternam mea. Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum non sunt dignius, ut Jesu te meis in tanto verbis aeternam mea. Corpus Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Quid retribuum Deum Iesum Christum per omnibus queritud mihi, calicem saitaris accipiam et nomen Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum invocabo. Laudans invocabo Deum matronam nostri et ab inimicis meis avusero. Sanguis Deum nostrum Iesum Christum custodiet anima mea. Codori sumpsimus Deum Iesum Christum pienamente capeam et immune temperae fia nobis remedium sempiternam. Corpus tuum Deum Iesum Christum, quod somse sanguis quem petrae escelus meis impresta, ut in me non remine celo la macula quem pura et sancta reficere sacramenta. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, oremus. May the prayer of thy suppliants profit the souls of thy servants and handmaids, we beseech thee, O God, Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum, that thou mayest free them from all sins and make them sharers in thy redemption, who livest and reignest with thee, one divine family forever and ever. In Deum matronam nostri. Deum vobiscum, et quoque apote, ite missa est, Deum gratia. Placia tibi sancta Trinitam, obsequium servitutis mea e presta, ut sacrificium corocolis, tue majestatis in inus opteri tibi sertatavere miquet omnibus, pro quibus idut optolis ite miserante propitiabile per Christum Deum nostrum. Sanctificat vos omnipotens Deum, Matronam et Filium et Spiritum Sanctum, Deum Matronam nostri et Deum Iesum Christum et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. O Trinitarian Theophany, I believe, I venerate, I hope, and I love thee. I beg of thee pardon for those who do not believe, do not venerate, do not hope, and do not love thee. Most Holy Trinitarian Theophany, Deum Matronam Nostri, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. I venerate thee profoundly, and I offer to thee the most precious body, blood, soul, and divinity of Deum Iesum Christum, present here in reparation for the outrages, sacrileges, and indifference by which he himself is offended, and through the infinite merits of his most sacred heart and the immaculate heart of Dea Matronam Nostrae, I beg of thee the conversion of poor sinners. In nomine Dei Matronam Nostrae, et Deum Iesum Christum, et Deum Patrum Spiritum Sanctum. Gracias. Thank you very much for coming, and appreciate all of your input and your prayers and your donations. And if you haven't donated yet, please see the description box below. My count's getting a little bit low, and I'm going to need to be getting some supplies for the church, for the chapel, and whatnot. So I appreciate it, and please go and sanctify all those who you meet, and we'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day.